Hey, let's talk about it, cause honestly we need to talk about social issues, just uplifting my people. Yeah, let's talk about it. Come join the conversation. A connection's what we're creating. Yeah.
What's happening, everybody? How y'all doing? So I'm gonna get straight to the point, right? And I hope that anybody out there that's going to take the time to watch this really watch to the end, right? So I was talking to my son yesterday, my youngest, and we were talking, and he's doing excellent in school, right? Excellent, all hundreds or whatever, right? And we were talking, and he was asking me, like, pretty much in layman's terms, where was I at his age? Like, meaning, like, if I was playing basketball, how many points was I averaging, this, that, and other, blah, 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 right? And in that moment, a word spoke to me. Because if I told him that I was averaging, let's just say I was averaging 30 points. But let's just say I was averaging 30 points. And I told him that, but he's only averaging 10. But he's averaging more rebounds. He's averaging more assists. You know what I'm saying? He's more of a well-rounded player. But because I told him that I was averaging 30, he would then measure his success based off his comparison of myself. And this is very deep. It gets very deep with that, because comparison to the next person can steal what God is doing for you. Comparing yourself to the next person can steal what God is doing for you. You see, when I was coming up, people don't, you know what I'm saying? Some people out there know, but, I had a struggle. But my struggle might not have been your struggle. You see, and those people that know me in real life know that I went through a hair struggle. My grandma had me in a jerry curl when everybody was rocking a fade, had me with the ducktail when everybody had passed that. I mean, I had pretty much everything that you can imagine, right? And my grandmother, I didn't have a real haircut, like going to the barbershop till I was 12, 13, right? And so during that time that this was happening, my grandmother would put me in some Jordache pants. I had about 5 cuffs at the bottom, right? I didn't even know that Jordache was for girls. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't even know. And then I would go to school and, I was always cool with everybody. People always liked me, right? But I knew that I looked different than everybody, right? So there was a point in time that I was comparing myself to everyone else. But God was doing something in my life that I couldn't see because I was looking at what everybody else had and what everybody else was doing. You see, there was people out there rocking J's and this, that, and the other, and I didn't have none of that at the point. Could my grandparents afford it? Of course. But they didn't put value into that. So me going out there in some hand-me-down pants, that wasn't nothing to them because they thinking like, you got clothes on your back. But I'm going to school comparing myself to what I see others had. But when I did that, what I was missing out on was I was coming back home to a household that had 2 people that loved God and loved themselves and loved each other. I was coming home to a home that I'd never seen them argue. I was coming home to a home that was built on faith. I was coming home to a foundation that was going to get me through life. But because I was comparing myself to what everybody else had, I thought I was losing. As I began to get older, and I began to see those same people who had everything that I thought that I wanted, stuff started to get a little shaky. You see, when I was coming up, I couldn't even spend a night nowhere. Now, I don't want y'all to, look at me and be like, oh, this, that, and the other, right? Because I didn't really have, quote unquote, rules for myself because my grandfather always saw in me. And he told me this years later, he always knew that I was going to be all right. Because we had a conversation before, and I just felt like, everybody else around me was getting away with everything. And I couldn't understand why, whatever was doing whatever. But when I do the slightest thing, I always got talked to. And then one day he told me, he said, because I know you're always going to be all right. But what he had to do was make sure things were in place and make sure I saw what God was doing for me. So I couldn't spend the night at people's house. We had a thing, called the Gus Macker. I was on a team, with my friends. And the night before, everybody was spending the night. So I came to him. I said, hey, Pop, can I spend the night? He said, I'll take you there first thing in the morning. And I'm like, man, I can't even spend the night. You know what I'm saying? Like, what in the world? But sometimes not spending the night saved me years later. And I'm saying all of this because what are you busy comparing yourself to? You can have a job and you're making good money. But that good money would never be enough when you're comparing yourself to what someone else is making. Because comparison steals what God is doing for you. It absolutely steals it. Let me tell you something. I started on Facebook years ago. And I used to just write, just write. And some people that were very close to me, right? That I love dearly. And I remember one time I was like, hey, can you share, what I just wrote? And I never could get a share. Hey, can you this, that, and other? But what I got in return was, man, you always talking. You letting out all your business, right? And in my mind, I'm like, how am I letting out all my business? I'm literally giving good word to people, right? And I went all of these years, man, and it hurt me because I would see them share everything else. I would see them big up everybody else, and it hurt me until one day, I was sitting back and I woke up in the morning and I just was like, you know what? I thank God. I thank God. Because see, this is what people don't understand. When you're buying a home, right? That home is valued at what is around, right? Like everything is around. So let's just say you move into that home, right? And you put in $100,000 worth of upgrades. But the houses around you have not upgraded themselves. So you think that you're going to turn around and add that $100,000 onto the house of what it was valued at, and you're going to get that. 9 times out of 10, you won't. You know why? Because that house and the houses around you, you have to justify. And when people go to buy that house, they're going to look and be like, well, all of these other houses said, why am I going to pay that? And I say that to say this. How many times have someone in your circle or someone in your family been blessed and you're looking at their blessings and you're comparing yourself? So because you compare yourself, you don't like them. But what you don't understand is the more value that they bring to the neighborhood, it ups your value. But that's hard for people to do. See, a lot of times people don't want what you got. They just don't want you to have it. People do not want what you have. They just don't want you to have it. You know why? Because why you? And that's why we have to understand that what you don't heal, you gonna pass down. And you got all that hate in your heart. I'm not even gonna call it hate. You have all of that animosity in your heart because you have not done things that you could have done. See, we got these little sayings that, God don't play about me. Well, guess what? If you woke up in the morning, God has put favor on you. And everybody that's in the land of the living right now, God has favor on you. But what irritates your demons is what you do with that favor. What do you do with every day that you wake up? God has shown you favor, and what do you do with it? So when you see somebody else doing something with it, it irritates you because you're looking at them and be like, oh my gosh, like this, that, and the other. I come on here and I make these videos, and I love, you know what I'm saying, my cousins, my friends, everybody that always bigs me up. It does my heart good because I'm human. But what I started noticing is the people who got all this stuff to say about me behind closed doors, that got all of this stuff to say about me, they don't understand that I am where I am right now because of the battles that I had to face. When my grandfather was sick, it was a lot of stuff that came with that. It was a lot of dirty work that came with that. And for some people, they didn't want to have to deal with it. They didn't want to deal with it. So because they didn't want to deal with it, they were blind to it. But I had to deal with it. I had no choice. I had no choice. In my mind, I had no choice because I loved them to life. I loved them. When my grandmother, after my grandfather passed, those midnight conversations, those sometimes calling me just to shoot the breeze, sometimes she couldn't get nobody on the phone, but she knew she could get me. I don't care what I had going on, and anybody that really know me can attest to this. I don't care who I was on the phone with. I don't care if I was in a meeting at work. When I looked at that phone and it was my grandma, everything stopped because I loved her so. So leading up into the point of her passing, if you wanted to come around then, but then you get upset because she's leaning on me, right? Like she's leaning on me. It wasn't that she loved me better than anybody else. It was because I was there. And how can you hate that I was there when you couldn't be? When you couldn't be. No, let me take that back. You could be, you chose not to be. But because I was there, the comparison caused you to hate me. And you don't even know why. See, that's where that talk comes from, to where, oh, she thinks she better than everybody. Oh, he think he better than everybody. When you're focused on yourself and when you know what God is doing for you, it don't matter what the next person is doing. It doesn't matter. Because you're focused on what God is doing for you. When I see somebody else blessed, I clap for them. All right, amen. Because all of us have a story, and that's why words have power, and that's why you have to understand what you're putting on people's lives. When you have kids, what do people say? Oh, that's my mini-me. Is it? That's your mini. You know what you've been through, and you know what you're struggling through, but you speaking that on their life because you're saying that's my mini-me. No. Not in this house. You're going to be the best version of you. You are going to be the best version of you, because if you try to be me, that comparison will steal your joy.
Hey, let's talk about it, cause honestly we need to talk about social issues, just uplifting my people. Yeah, let's talk about it. Come join the conversation. A connection's what we're creating. Yeah.